All right, let's go. We have a member of the powerhouse on tonight, Nate Ackenhausen. How you doing tonight?
I'm doing good. How about y'all?
Man, we are always blessed to have a guest on here, but you know me. You see the posters behind me. Your poster is offset to the right. Should have maneuvered the camera, but it's all good. Uh, so anytime we have an LSU Tiger on here, I'm absolutely ecstatic. Want the world to be able to hear your story. But before we get into that, we got to break the ice. Obviously, the biggest trending topic in the country right now is the Super Bowl. Um, First off, got to know, did you attend a Super Bowl party?
We had a little get together Southgate, our apartments we live at. So there's a couple guys on the team that are here, and we went over to one of their apartments and watched it as a group.
Well, the real question is, was there food? And if there was, what was the best food item they had?
There's a little bit of food. One of their girlfriends made some buffalo chicken dip and then some mac and cheese, and mac and cheese ran out quick, so I just had some buffalo dip.
Hey, as long as they got the buffalo dip. We were asking the question prior to the Super Bowl to the guests, what's the one item must have? And that was universally the answer. So you had the right item there. And Daniel said it's pretty much impossible to mess up buffalo chicken dip. So if you did by chance have some bad dip, yeah, don't go to their gatherings anymore. So as far as the game, were you entertained? I don't know if you're a big football guy. I do know that you played a little bit in high school. Did you find it to be an entertaining game? Did you like who won, all that stuff?
I thought it was kind of boring. I'm a Baltimore Ravens fan, so I was kind of salty. Uh, but yeah, I mean, I kind of expected the Chiefs to win, so
Yeah, I mean, I think you said the truth though, especially the first half. The first half was about as boring as it
mm,
gets, and it was only more upbeat at the end, really, because even the third quarter went pretty slow. So I agree with you. It seems like it's one of the greatest games ever, right? You go to overtime, but in the grand scheme of things, I think you were right. It was pretty boring, and especially when you're a Baltimore fan and you look at Baltimore or Buffalo and some of the games they've played in this year. You would have liked to have seen something more high scoring, more impactful, but nonetheless, it wasn't a bad game. One of the other big talks is always the halftime show. How did you feel about that?
I thought it started off really slow, and then it definitely got way better towards the end. We were kind of talking as a little group, making fun of Usher, and then he stepped up towards the end of it.
Yeah, my wife and daughter were all about it through all phases. There was numerous squealing incidents, and then Nate, what really bothered me the most was they were all about this game for the Taylor Swift thing or whatever.
Hmm.
Daniel will tell you I'm a psychopath when it comes to LSU football and Saints football, and they don't support my teams, and them winning is monumental because you'll get a happy life if my team wins. They never watch my team and support, but yet Travis Kelsey wins, and they're so happy for Taylor and Travis, and it's like y'all don't even get happy like that when my team wins, and it actually impacts your life on a daily basis. Make it
Exactly.
make sense. I don't know, man. Women. But overall, like it wasn't bad, but it set up what we know is important, Nate. And this is what I saw all down my Twitter feed. And I know you're probably not a big social media guy, but I love seeing everybody saying what when the Super Bowl is over, it means it's college baseball time. And that's ultimately the best part about it was the game was over and we know it's time for powerhouse baseball.
Exactly.
So Nate, it's finally good to have you on because we've spent some months now talking about you and really the coming of the LSU pitching staff from the beginning of last season up until a national championship. So I'm sure being part of the staff, you heard the rumblings, you heard what was said, you read, and even you might have felt it. But at the end of the day, you guys stepped up, you did what you had to do, and you had an amazing season, culminating with obviously, getting to hoist a national championship. But before we get to LSU, we gotta take a step back. We gotta get your story. We gotta find out a little bit about you. So tell me a little bit about your hometown. Where are you from?
So I'm from Owasso, Oklahoma. It's a 6A school, which is the biggest in Oklahoma. 6A is, and yeah, I was born and raised there pretty much, and
You got
Good little
mom,
town.
dad in the picture,
Yep.
brothers, sisters.
Mom and dad are in the picture, and then I got one younger brother and one younger sister.
All right. Are they athletes as well?
My brother's done playing baseball. He tried the JUCO thing. He didn't really enjoy it, and then my sister's going to play softball in college.
Gotcha. Who's a better athlete out of everybody?
Me.
You. What about mom, dad? I mean, you guys had to get that from somebody, right?
My mom was a cheerleader in high school, and I played a little bit of softball. My dad played football in high school, but nothing past it.
You know, given they grew up obviously playing sports, and then you grow up playing sports. Was there any pressure to play sports, or was it just something that you knew that you were going to do just because you were picking up balls and bats, from as early as you could?
No, I think being like from a young age, they kind of like put us into sports. I think I started off playing soccer, which was I didn't really enjoy it, I guess. Um, but no, they just kept putting us in different sports, and I'm very competitive, and I think that's where it got me hooked. And ever since then, I was playing baseball, football, and basketball until I got to high school, and then I kind of just stuck with baseball.
As you're growing up, I mean, everyone has that one person that they, look to as far as an influential or an impactful person in regards to their growth and career as they grow up. Who is that person for you?
It's definitely my mom. She'll get on to me. Like if I'm not putting in the full effort, she'll let me know. So every game, whatever, if I had a bad game, she'd let me know. She'd let me have it.
Wow. So she didn't hold any punches. She let you have it. She, told you how it was, good, bad, indifferent, ugly, dirty, whatever it was, like she let you know. It's probably a good thing, obviously, the maturity level has to be there to, to take that kind of feedback, but I think that's the only way to give it. Like you don't want to beat around the bush, especially if you have any kind of aspirations of being something at a higher level, because you're going to have to fix whatever you're doing and adjust and not make those mistakes again. But ultimately, you got to grow and develop. Um, you mentioned high school baseball in Oklahoma. What is the level of competition out in Oklahoma? Obviously, we hear a lot about Oklahoma and Texas,
Mhm.
being in Louisiana now, like there's a good high school, elite talent down there. So what's it like in Oklahoma?
Oklahoma's really like really good players in Oklahoma. A lot of them don't make it out, and they just go the JUCO route, which there's a ton of JUCOs in Oklahoma. And so like you kind of grow up playing against all these kids, and then you grow up playing against them in college. A lot of JUCO, and then once you make it out of JUCO, you end up playing them at the next level too. My class in particular, there was a lot of talent in my class. Like Cade Horton, Dax Fulton, um, Jackson Wiggins. Like a lot of those guys came from my class, and it was probably what made me so competitive is there being so many good high school uh, athletes and kind of just like in the rankings and all that, trying to pass everybody up.
Yeah, multiple pros there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, for sure. At what point do you go, man, I think baseball is something I want to do outside of high school. I want to take this to college. I want to take it to the next level.
It was definitely my freshman year, kind of like I think at that time I was playing basketball and football still in high school. And after all the seasons ended, I was just like, I think baseball is the one I want to go with. Football is a very big thing at our high school, and they were trying to get me to add weight, and baseball's trying to get me to lose weight. And then basketball terms, it's just kind of bad with baseball season. Basketball goes into baseball season. So I kind of just made the move, and being left-handed kind of made it easy.
Yeah, it's one of those things like dual sport football, baseball is a really good offset. Obviously, as you get to higher levels, it starts being, more conflicting. But that basketball, that threesome, like because it's jammed right in the middle of the two, it's really hard to like take time off and recover or get really good and practice for the other. So you feel like you might be spending like, you know, 60% of your effort on three different things as opposed to 100% of your effort on one. So,
And I still played rec basketball till I think my senior year, and just a couple guys that still want to play the sport but weren't on the high school team or anything, and it was fun, just limit practice, all that, just get together.
yeah, I mean, probably average more points, have better games just because there's no pressure. You get to go out there and
Definitely.
just do whatever. There's
Throw it up.
yeah, there you go. So you end up going to Eastern Oklahoma State. You posted an 8-1 record in 2022 with a 1.84 ERA. You had 14 walks, 89 strikeouts, and 58.2 innings. In 2021, you had 56 strikeouts. You had a 1.61 ERA in 28 innings. It's safe to say you absolutely crushed and dominated JUCO. How good is the level of talent in Oklahoma JUCO? So we talked about the high school guys and JUCO being really a popular avenue for them. So I'm assuming that the JUCO in Oklahoma is pretty stacked.
Yeah, it's pretty good. Like I said, a lot of the high schoolers you grow up playing against, or travel ball buddies, they all go to different JUCOs, and I was just blessed to be at Eastern when everybody was there, if that makes sense. My first year at my junior college, we had three guys that were the starters. One was my buddy that I went to high school with, and he's now with the Royals. His name was David Stanley. He played at OU, and they all three were touching 100 miles per hour. So I was just like the guy throwing 90 in the bullpen. And I guess that first season, what really helped me was the guy would come in after every single time was throwing 100. He was like the hardest one. He would constantly hit it, but he threw a two seam, and I throw a right fastball. So you come in after a guy throwing 100, and you're throwing a complete different thing and different arm slot, different arm side. So that kind of helped me out. But there was a lot of talent. I know those stats don't like scream there was a ton of talent, but if you were there, you would know.
I mean, when you're telling me you're throwing 90 and from the left side and you're having to follow up guys throwing triple digits, like, all right, I get it, man. There's some talent there. Um, but for you, like, obviously following up those guys, you have to have the right mindset because you could either take that one or two ways. You can go, damn, like these guys are throwing 100 miles an hour. I'm throwing 90-ish. Like, am I doing something wrong? Like, that's kind of how I would look at it. Like, what am I not doing that they're doing? But it seems like your mentality was, I have a different wrinkle than what they have, and me following them up will allow me to be more successful because, not only that is I'm going to be able to throw something different at these guys that they're not used to seeing. So, in that regards, is that what you would say was the big part of your success, or was there something else that you did differently? Did you train different? Did you do something different? Did you have, different mechanics? What was it that really like helped aid your success at the JUCO level?
I think just having a whippy arm, if that makes sense. Like, how some guys throw tight. I was just a very whippy guy at that level. And I think a lot of them were more stiff. And of course, we had one guy that was left-handed throwing 100. But how our JUCO worked, it was 3-game series and it was 9-7-9. So he would just throw the whole 7 innings. So I didn't have to worry about coming in after him. Um, but no, I've always been like a fastball command guy. Like I can command it to wherever I want, wherever you call it, and then just throwing pitches off of it, if that makes sense, like tunneling. And I think that's what helped me out a ton, and especially in JUCO. Like if you play a good JUCO, probably 1 through 7 is pretty good. You play a okay JUCO 1 through 5, and then a bad one, you're still gonna have 1 through 4 probably are gonna be very good. So kind of just knowing who you're playing, and a lot of those guys you grow up playing against, so you already know how to pitch to them. So it all helped out.
Yeah, that's the one thing that, as even a player, once I got to college, the one thing that I noticed is that the hitters were much better. Like there were no holes really. Like you couldn't miss pitches. You still had to be focused and locked in and hit spots. And even still, the hitters were good enough. Like, even if you did hit a spot with a good pitch, like sometimes they get hit, you know? And then as a coach, having to like hammer that into the guys, like you have to have the mentality and the mindset and the drive to come out and be tunneled and zoned in and locked in every single pitch, because the minute that you're not is when you make a mistake, and you can't make mistakes because they're going to get hit and they're going to get hit hard.
Limit them.
Yeah, limit
One of
them.
my biggest thing is you just got to limit the mistakes, and you're gonna, especially at this level now, SEC, you're gonna throw pitches that you wanted to throw, and they're gonna hit it. They're gonna hit it out, and you just gotta tip your cap. Say, all right, you hit the pitch I was supposed to throw, whatever.
Just
It sucks, but at the same time, it's like
mitigate
what
the
else to do?
damage. Hopefully there's nobody on, and
Heck,
if there is people on, make them earn their way on. Don't give it to them. And it's stuff that you guys, I'm sure, are it's just ingrained in you guys from the jump. But so after all this success, when does LSU come into the picture for you?
So how my JUCO kind of worked is that's why we were so good, is because they kind of kept us there for 2 years. They wouldn't just kind of let you walk. I mean, you could if you had the offer and all that. So after my first year, I actually was a two-way my first year, and I went to go play in the Appalachian League. It was the first year of that, and I was hitting there, and I had a couple schools call in, and nothing was official. And then my first big offer was South Carolina,
Did
and
they want you to do both?
so the only really school that wanted me to do both was Indiana State. And
Oh man, the
I
Sycamores, man.
mean, he could
Could have
have
been
hit him to
playing
the
at the
left field
cemetery.
cemetery.
I'm
Yeah.
telling you, bro.
so they were the only ones. I'm sure Oral Roberts would have gave me a shot, just being a local boy, but um I had like Washington State, Oklahoma State, but they all started to offer me as soon as I moved back into junior college. And I was already moved in, and I pretty much told them like I'm already here, like we can keep talking, but I don't plan on leaving.
So
And
they thought you were already moved in and committed and kind of geared up to play another season of JUCO. They were fully expecting you to be like, "Oh, yeah, I'll just come now. No big
yeah,
deal."
well, yeah, I guess because I mean, if you're ever in Oklahoma and you go to Eastern Oklahoma, there's not much there. Like we don't have a locker room, we don't have anything really. And so I get there, and honestly, my head coach at the time there, he honestly said that he didn't take the Dallas Baptist job because of me, because he was expecting me fully to leave. And so when I came back, he decided to turn down that job, and he kind of brought the team together and said like, "This is why I'm here." I was like, "Oh,"
Hey Nate,
but
I was told to ask you if you still got your fork. I don't know what that means, but I'm told to ask you.
here, I'll just take the wristband off. Oh, where's it? Keep your
All
fork.
right. We need an explanation. I'm told to ask you that, but I don't know what that means.
So pretty much to sum it up was keep your fork because the best is yet to come, like dessert. And so our head coach, his dad would send him articles all the time in his junk mail, and he would never read it. And this was like the one he read, and so it stuck with him. And it was like this long story, but just to keep it short, that's pretty much what it is best yet to come. So keep your fork.
I like it. I like that, Daniel. How often do you see somebody walking around with a wristband got a fork on it?
What's great is he's still got it.
Exactly. It
Actually,
really
I'll
means
be
it.
honest. It broke, and my mom texted my old head coach, and they shipped me one.
Nice.
Nice.
I remember when my LSU one that I wore the whole 2019 football season broke during the national championship of all times, and my wife had to frantically at the bar find me some tape and tape that bad boy together because LSU was losing at the time, and I felt very superstitious, and I was like, "We don't get this wristband fixed." But y'all were talking about velo, Nate, and it's I've always read all the science on it, obviously watch baseball, but the more and more I learn, when it comes to spin rate and everything else, sometimes velo can be overhyped because I think about a high school matchup that I saw, and you're familiar with both these guys. The best high school duel I ever saw was between Hunter Elliott and Brady Tiger.
Mhm.
And Hunter Elliott was steady 90-91 and cruising because he was painting the corners. Just the way he was putting it, it was really messing batters up. Meanwhile, Brady was trying to blow it by him at 98, which while he was successful when he hit the strike zone, he had 7 full counts that game. Meanwhile, Hunter's just 1, 2, 3 pitches. And it was that game where I realized sometimes it's not about how hard you can throw, just like you said, picking your spots, locating
Mhm.
it perfect. And so that was one of those learning moments for me where I was like, sometimes it can be overhyped. Yes, it is a great tool. Like you definitely want to throw 98,
Yeah.
99, 100 if you can. But I mean, if you can locate and control it, if you got great spin rate, and then like you were talking about your secondary pitches. So, but you get to LSU and even before a national championship, it doesn't matter. There's already 6 of them lined up. It's a place of prestige. Alex Box is a top 5, top 3 stadium, just depending on who's rating it. You're playing with some massive names. You're coming in there with obviously guys like Skeens, Cruz, Dugas, Beloso, Joe Bear, just go through all day. Ty Floyd, were you intimidated at all, or were you like just super pumped because you're coming to a school that has that kind of expectations with those kind of guys?
I guess you could say I was pumped. I actually kind of never looked into rankings, if that makes sense. Like, of course, I knew who Dylan Cruz was. I actually really didn't know who Paul Skeens was. I never like kind of looked into like Division 1
I
baseball.
still don't know who he is.
Shut
Never
up.
heard of him.
But I always knew what LSU was, and I knew the fan base was crazy, and that's kind of why I committed here. Is just knowing that you're gonna have the stands packed and people cheering for you, and it's gonna be kind of like an MLB game, and that was the main reason to say I knew we were gonna be good. I knew I saw something like they had the #1 recruited class out of freshmen, and honestly, just coming here knowing that you got to compete for a job, I just didn't want something handed to me, fighting for something, and that's kind of why I came here. And of course, it doesn't hurt to be pitching to Dylan Cruz. You're learning stuff. That's the level you want to be at. So
Yeah,
you got
no
to.
doubt. Ton of professional hitters you're facing. And what you said about Paul Skeens, he came on here before the season last year and talked about it and how Air Force just didn't provide for him the opportunities that LSU would. And I think you saying that you didn't really know who he was is evidence of that, right? Because Air Force is not a program that's going to be able to do the things for you that LSU. Sure, he would have been drafted and he would have been highly coveted, but he wouldn't have became the pitcher that he became this past season. And so he made the right move. You made the right move. Clearly, early in the season, LSU, there was a lot of grumbling about the bullpen, but I went back and looked and I tried to remember, and you weren't one of the guys. Like there was a lot of guys that people, questioned, but I went back and looked and you had 19 outings and only 2 were tough. And it wasn't out the gate. I mean, you were hot right out the gate. You were pretty consistent all year. There was really never a question mark on you. So how are you able to have such success, right out the gate?
I think it's kind of what you said earlier. Just commanding my pitches. Not walking. I think that's the biggest thing is giving up free bases like walks, hit by pitches, and whenever you can control the fastball and then you got off speed pitches to help it out, just making people get off balance and knowing that in that 0-2 area, it's like, yeah, you want to punch him out, but at the same time, you don't want to build it back up to 3-2 and now it's his pitch. So just kind of knowing, hey, I got this guy on his front foot. If I throw a changeup to him, he's either going to punch out or roll over. He's not going to do damage with it, just that type of stuff. And just believing in my stuff. I stand on the mound and think I'm the greatest. I have a very I sounds cocky, but you have to be in that mental stage. You can't be up there and scared or you're probably not going to do anything. So
Daniel's always talked about it as a guy who was a relief pitcher. He said you're not going to be successful if you don't have that mindset. So I don't think if you don't have some kind of arrogance or killer instinct, you're really going to struggle coming in a bullpen role for sure.
Because you're gonna come in when you don't want to. It's gonna be the worst time.
I'm still Daniel. When Landon Sims came on here way back when and said right after he came on and faced Texas, had to come in with bases loaded, nobody out, and said he thrived. He wanted that moment. I was like, who wants that moment?
I mean, a guy who throws sliders like he does. Yeah. I mean,
Well, that game he blew nothing but fastballs by him. But yeah, Nate had no problem. He picked, Daniel, if you want to pick a moment to make sure everybody knows who you are, he decides he's going to come on the scene and really make a splash. At Texas, February 28th, Daniel, a sold out midweek game. You just don't see those. He works 3 1/3 shutout innings against the Longhorns, just allowing 1 hit, 1 walk with 4 strikeouts. You know, talk about that atmosphere, Nate, and then just, how good it felt to be able to go there and absolutely just shove against a top Texas team.
So that was one thing I was going to bring up is I love pitching on the road. I like people, talking their thing, trying to put you down and just cheering against you. It fires me up and it motivates me. And so, being from Oklahoma, my dad was an OU fan. I never grew up liking Texas. So I just had a little bit more under the table, and I was just waiting for my name to get called. And as soon as my name got called, I was so excited running out of the bullpen. I knew that the student section's right there, and I had no idea what they were saying, but I'm sure it was probably wasn't good stuff, and it was just motivating me. And then it just felt good standing on that mound, and every time you got someone out, it just like you kind of heard the crowd kind of shut down. And there was one I can't remember what happened, but I think a bunt maybe, and then a throw down the line or whatever, and the crowd got back into it and just punching that next kid out or whatever, and them all just sitting down kind of felt real good.
Yeah, absolutely. And so that was like I said, a big game, one that puts you on the map, and people really kind of got an understanding of what you brought. And we had to talk the other day about guys in the middle innings. The starters are always known, the closers are, people know Guidry, and then people are going to know Skeens Typhoid. But the guys in the middle, because it was me and Griffin Herring that was having this talk. You are the most underrated guys in baseball. It's kind of like, in football, right? The fullback clears the hole and the running backs will run through the same kind of thing for the closer. And so, yeah, just playing a role that's really underappreciated, because so many times throughout the season you came in and were able to eat up those middle innings, get us out of jams and everything. And you were really rolling, but then you did get hampered by an injury, your hamstring. Let me ask you, when it comes to injuries like that, was it something that you completely healed of, or was it something that kind of nagged you throughout the rest of the season?
So I've never really had leg problems, and I remember I threw a pitch and I felt some in my leg, and I was like, "What was that?" And then I threw another pitch, and it was a pass ball, and I had to like run home, and I couldn't. And then I threw one more pitch, and then I think it was a pass ball again, and I tried to run home, and that's when they caught on, and they came out there and they were like, "What's wrong?" And I was like, I think I'm cramping or I just pulled my hammy." And they were like, "You're done." And I tried to talk myself into staying out there. They wouldn't let me. And so I got in there, and then of course the trainer ran some tests and said I pulled my hammy. And I kind of it took me some time to get back, but once I was back fully, I never even thought about it, if that makes sense. Like I never really egged me back on. It was just kind of a fluke.
Yeah, no, that's good, because I mean, like I said, sometimes that can kind of nag you throughout the way, and we may have not known it. That's why I asked you. I didn't know if it was one of those things you battled through, but that was good that it had went away. So, I want to talk to you about the Alex Box, environment through regionals and super regionals. Absolutely electric, packed out. What's it like just being a part of that environment and having that fan base just be absolutely electric like that?
It's awesome. It's called a velo boost. It's pretty much what it is when you get that adrenaline. So when they're cheering you on, everything's working. And honestly, it probably intimidates other players, the other teams. So yeah, it's awesome.
And so, y'all obviously punch your ticket to Omaha, and you pick LSU for a reason. You obviously want to develop individually, but you go there as for a team guy. It starts with Omaha. That's what me and Daniel always talk to you guys about. Obviously, you want to win the national championship, but it always starts with Omaha. You got to get to Omaha first. So, when y'all end up punching that ticket and you make it, like, did you feel really, vindicated in your choice that, I chose the right place to be?
Um, Actually, I was kind of when I talked earlier about like picking here because the fans, that was also another big talk with my parents was I just wanted to win a national championship and I want to go somewhere that was going to have the best shot at doing that. And so, um, honestly, when we punched our ticket to go there, it felt good, but at the same time, I kind of knew the job wasn't done. Like, yeah, we're going to Omaha, and at the time, I didn't realize how cool it was, but now looking back on it, like, it's cool being in Omaha. That was one of the coolest things ever. But yeah,
Well,
we kind of all just knew we had a job. The job wasn't finished, and it was just the next step.
Well, what it did for a lot of us fans that talk a lot, I was covering the Mississippi State series, which, obviously left a nasty taste in everybody's mouth, whether player, coach, fan, or, anybody else in between. And, naturally left a little question mark. I all season I thought, this title is ours. And I started to have a little doubt. And the way you guys played in regionals, super regionals, once the ticket was punched, I was back like, okay, we've gotten ourselves back. And then obviously, as the bullpen solidifying themselves going into Omaha. It's like, okay, we got this thing. And so once we punched the ticket, I was back thinking, okay, like we've gotten over, that little obstacle that we went through. And, I think every team needs to go through that because if you look at Ole Miss and Mississippi State the 2 years before, they had the same thing. I feel like every team has to be punched in the mouth to be able to get through that final phase. It's never just cruise control because look at a team like Tennessee, right, where they were cruise control and then they got punched in the mouth and it was the exit home because they never got it before. So I feel like you got to have it sometime before. And unfortunately, it was that Mississippi State series where like it just wasn't fun to be at, especially with the LSU dads. I don't think I've ever seen them so upset, Nate. It was I couldn't have got out of town quick enough.
Exactly.
But let's talk about Tennessee, dude. Man, we've had that whole lineup on this show, man. We know every one of those guys. And on the biggest stage in Omaha, you talked about, obviously it's not a hostile environment. We LSU fans really took that thing over, but nonetheless, you're not at home. You just absolutely shoved, man. You have never started before, and you go out there and start, and you go 6 innings. You only allow 4 hits, no walks, which that was the key thing I was going to bring up. And then you brought up not giving free passes. You give up no walks, allow no runs, have 7 strikeouts. So, man, who injected the ice water in your veins before that game?
Nobody. I kind of woke up the night before. I knew I was starting, or I guess the night of the
He
game or
he
the day.
kept his fork. That's what happened. He still had his fork. He was ready.
So pretty much, I the night before, kind of talking like who's gonna start, and I kind of had this weird feeling going to sleep. I was like, is this my time? And so I wake up the next day. I can't even remember what time, but I said it in the interviews after. It was like late. And I kind of slept in. I just checked my phone and I'm like, oh, I got a text. Look at it. It says you're starting. And so ever since I saw that start, I was just like, I called my mom and said, hey, I'm starting. And she kind of motivated me to do good and just kind of like took it like any other game. I mean, you always want to do good. It's not like you're gonna. I feel like the worst thing I could have done was try to change my whole routine up and try to do more. You never want to do more. Nothing
What
good comes out of trying to do more.
what was different? Obviously, it you had was the routine of starting a game. Was it the environment? Was it the bullpen? Like what? Something had to have been different.
So I guess kind of just having more time to get ready. Like I said, my second year in JUCO, I was a starter, so I never kind of lost the starting role, if that makes sense. Like
It
once you do,
is it is weird as a relief guy to mix in starts because I feel like every relief pitcher that does this has the same problem is they're hot in like half the time that it should take.
yeah,
And
exactly.
so it's like trying to like extend it out but not extend it too much, but also like keep it to where this is you being you and not making it too different. It's amazing like on that stage that you're able just to go, all right, I'll do all these things and you still give the performance that you do. That's
I'm
amazing.
like one of those guys that like I could throw 40 pitches and throw 120 pitches. I'm going to be the same soreness the next day. So I know Coach Johnson said something like he had he had set limits on me, like certain amount of pitches or innings, whatever.
I heard him say that it was like, I want to say it was like
I like doubled
3
everything.
innings or like
Yeah.
12 batters, or it was something very, very like specific. I think it was 12 batters.
No, I think he said all three things. I think he said like 50 pitches, maybe 12 batters or 3 innings. And I think I doubled like everything.
Yeah.
And he actually did tell me that. Like when I saw him in person that day after he texted me that, um, he did tell me that, and I kind of just walked away like whatever. Like I'm
But
gonna go as long as I can. I'll show you.
But you know what I think
Yeah.
this was? Hey, Nate, I'll tell you, man, because there's growth in coaches, and Daniel will tell you, we had Paul Gervais on after last year's postseason, and I remember that game, and he told us, he had cruised through 3 innings in Hattiesburg, and he told Coach Jay, he said, "I have it, don't take me out." Ultimately, he did, and the guys who followed obviously ended up giving up the runs. And, maybe Jay learns from a moment like that. Hey, man, let's have trust in a guy like Nate. I should have had trust in Paul. I mean, coaches got to learn too. And so he let you stay out there longer and benefited from it. I think that's an experience thing. And I think that's learning to trust in your guys and something that he may, start to do more and more with you guys because he sees you guys can do it. He believes in you guys. And like you said, you're a guy who's done it before. So I think, it all came full circle, and it was great that he gave you the opportunity and you thrived the way you did. And, Daniel, I want to tell you, Nate, afterward, he was all smiles, but when he came into the hotel, me and Jackson were the first ones right when he came in. And, he wasn't walking like he was bigger than life, like he was better than everybody. He was signing autographs, being polite. And that's what I love. Like he didn't change who the guy that I normally see is, he could have walked around like he was big swinging dick, but he didn't. Like,
I would have. I would have.
No, he was just happy, man. And Jackson snagged that picture, and I was like, dude, you snagged a picture with the man of the hour, Daniel. I told him, I was like, that's a picture, and it's right there. It's in that collage that we have on the wall. That's one of his favorite ones. So I
Bro, I would
appreciate
have been like, are you not entertained?
not
Say
everybody's
that
like
to
you, Daniel.
everybody.
But no, man, it was a great moment. And so obviously y'all ultimately complete the whole thing. A fun question me and Daniel always like to ask: where did you end up in the dog pile? Were you smart and got there late, especially as a bullpen guy, and made sure you didn't get crushed, or did you just get too excited and maybe get in there a little too early?
So I know I pitched game 2, and I didn't throw that many pitches, and I kind of actually was hot for that game 3, and so I was kind of one of the last guys in the bullpen, just the emergency guys, I guess, just in case something crazy went down. So I was one of the last guys to jump in, which is kind of
Best
like,
place to be, yeah.
yeah, I wasn't. I've been in a couple dog piles, and the bottom is just not it.
Ever since Landon Sims and Logan Tanner said they almost got their skulls crushed, I obviously have no reason to be in a dog pile, but I'll give the advice, you know what, just be the last guy there, That's
Exactly.
but yeah, couldn't have been happier for you guys. So y'all come into the fall, and I'll be honest, I've been down there a few times, and I don't know if I just picked the wrong days. I haven't really got to see you pitch. So man, how has your fall been?
Actually, it's kind of funny you asked. It's actually been very good, other than my last outing of the fall. I've
Uh
been
are you
doing
talking about
pretty.
the last couple days?
Yeah, the last
I
day.
heard the lineup opened up on everybody though, for what it's worth.
Well, I wasn't really getting hit around. I just literally what I said earlier in the day. You just can't walk people.
Yeah,
That's kind
well,
of the
I
problem.
feel like that, based upon the reports that I was getting back, because I was there the weekend before, and I watched Hurd, I watched Holman, I watched Herring, jump out or no jump and pitch. I'm trying to think. Everybody who pitched basically thrived, and I thought while it's good to see our pitching staff dominate, I was like, our offense really needs to gain some confidence going into the season. So when they were writing me that they were all hitting really well over the last few days, I was like, that's a good thing. Like I know y'all are like don't want to see the pitching staff, give up runs, but our offense needs to gain some momentum going into the season. It's one of those weird things on the iron sharpens iron thing, right? Like it's good that y'all are
Yeah.
doing well, but they need to know what they can do on their end. And so, but I think ultimately it's going to make them better, right? Because they're not going to see a pitching staff outside of when we face Arkansas, they're not going to see a pitching staff like their own all year. So they're ready for anything that's going to come at them. You know, as far as the pitchers, you know, I just mentioned all the guys. I was really impressed by all the transfers coming in, the young guys. You know, we had DJ Primo on. You know, I loved him. Obviously, Cameron Johnson. Herring, I just think is taking a whole nother step. I think you and him are those guys, like I said, maybe didn't get the shine some of the other guys did because you're the middle guys, but I mean, y'all are the glue. So I'm just really excited. As far as the bats, though, man, talk to me. You've gotten to face these guys. For the listeners, who are a few bats that, you know, especially with the departure of so many guys, that you expect to really step up?
I think like a lot of what would that be? I guess when we first got back from January, when we started inter squatting again after Christmas break, Monster, he has been a demon right now lately. Braswell, he's just a good contact hitter. Like he's gonna make you work to strike him out. Paxton's been hot. Mac's been seeing the ball really well past probably last 2 weeks. He might even have 4 home runs. I don't know.
Pearson looked good the weekend I was there.
Yeah, he hit one. Was it yesterday? Might have hit one yesterday. Yeah, yesterday we kind of took a beating. They were hit.
And that's what I was talking about. Those were the messy
Yeah.
Lakers. But hey, like I said, it needed to
Yesterday
happen.
it seemed like every other pitch was leaving the yard, but yeah, I mean we got some young freshmen that they'll get some pinch hits, maybe midweek games, and they're gonna surprise some people. We got depth for sure.
Yeah, no doubt. So I'm gonna be starting my season in Campbell. I won't be there until Florida, which I couldn't be more stoked for. Shameless plug. Anybody wants to come out there and support me, I get to do the military veteran thing. So but
Wait,
I'm
I gotta ask. Do you get to throw first pitch?
I don't know. They didn't tell me.
Oh
I don't
God.
think I do.
I hope you do. I can't. I want to
I'm
see
gonna
this.
spike it because I'm gonna try to throw it as hard as I can, which is gonna result. You know, somebody actually told me if I did, Daniel, and you might agree with this for a podcast, you know, getting more recognized. If I could hit the cameraman upside the head, it'd probably do great for our ratings.
I
Um,
mean, it just.
but I don't
There's
think
a lot of bad
I
that
don't
can
think
come
the
with this.
veterans do. I don't know. The only time I saw a veteran do it, they had like a World War II vet, and I don't fall in his criteria, Daniel. I don't think I got that kind of clout. But yeah, no, I'm gonna get to see you guys, Nate, on the road in Starkville first. That's the first SEC series. And then I'm gonna see y'all in Fayetteville, and then I'll see y'all at home against Vandy in Florida. So 4 different series, stoked for all of them. Expect nothing but the best. And man, hopefully we can get that repeat.
Yes, sir.
Repeat. All right, Nate. Before you get out of here and start focusing on repeating, we're gonna play a game called This or That. You good to play?
Yeah.
All right. So it's very simple. I'm gonna give you two options. You choose one option or the other. Can't
Yeah.
say both. Can't say neither. Just be decisive. Pick one. Go with your heart. Go with your gut. And we'll see what happens.
All right.
All right, Jim. This or that. Who's it brought to us by?
Chinook Seedery, 8 flavors, mild to wild, best seeds ever.
I mean, 8 flavors that have now with combos.
And the best part is you don't have to ask LSU baseball players because they're in the dugout, bro.
I know they got them. They got them. So, Nate, I taste tested all the flavors. I gave it a rating. So now I'm mixing flavors. I'm doing a little combo session here, and I'm
Did you
mixing.
see I tried your smoking toast at Swayze the other day?
I did.
I only gave it it was good. You weren't wrong. But I only gave it an 8.4. I didn't give it a 9 like you did.
Well, I mean,
But I'm also an original
that's my
guy.
ratings. My ratings.
I'm an original.
So tonight we have the Hatch Chili. We're going back to Hatch Chili, and we're mixing it with the Bobby Witt special.
Ooh,
the lemon pepper. And so
that seems like a dangerous combo.
I have come up with a few different names, Nate, and you get to choose the name that you want to call this combo. All right.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I'll give you the names. I'll do the taste test. I'll give you the rating, and then you can give me the name. Sound good?
Sounds good.
All right, here are your options. You have the Baja Blast. All right, that's one. The second one is the hatchback. And then the third one, which this, I'm not trying to be biased here, but this is kind of my favorite, kind of a play on words here with old Bobby Witt. The Witty Witty Bang Bang. I mean, here we go. We got 3 lemon peppers. We do 3 hatch chilies. Give it a second. Let it simmer. Okay. So, initial is I get a lot of the hatch chili. And I like that because I'm not a big lemon pepper fan. I'll be totally honest. The lemon pepper is just not my thing. All right. As it sits and it simmers and it dances a little bit, you start getting some citrus filtering through. Not bad. Not too bad. All right. All right. So the big thing that I look for is initial reaction, how it sits in the mouth after a little bit. And then the big question is this a everyday seed? Is this a once a game combo, or is this an all game combo? And for this is a once a game combo. This is like a specialty day when it's hot outside, you need just a little something different. This is the one that you go to. If you are throwing back just originals and you're like, oh man, I need a little hit of something, mix these two. It's a perfect amount of hit of each, not overpowering. I'm going to give this one, Nate, I'm going to give it 7.6. 7.6. Not bad. 7.6 out of 10.
Okay.
All right. So you get the honors of naming this bad boy. What are we going with? Are we going with the Witty Witty Bang Bang in ode of Bobby Witt Jr.? Are we going with the hatchback? Or are we going with the Baja Blast? Where are you going with?
I think I was leaning towards option C, the Witty Witty Bang Bang, but since it's a low score, I don't think we can name it that.
You can name it whatever you want to.
I think we're gonna have to go with option A, the Baja Blast.
Baja Blast. All right. There it is, ladies and gentlemen. There you have it. Bobby Witt, you've been trumped by Nate Ackenhausen. He's saying this is the Baja Blast. Only out of respect for you. He says if it was higher, we would name it the Witty Witty Bang Bang. So, all right, there it is, Baja Blast. Now, we paid the bills. Now we got to play our game.
Okay.
Chicken or beef tacos?
Chicken.
Bar soap or liquid soap?
Liquid.
Boy, I got Coach Armstrong earlier, Daniel. I told him the whole liquid soap doesn't actually clean your hands, and he was like, "Really?" And I was like, "Yeah, when I use the glue on my mohawk, I was like, I can't even use liquid soap. It doesn't even wash my hands. I got to go bar." And then, weirdly enough, I always talk about how the soap question leads us in different directions. Daniel, he starts telling me his coach's glue products for my hair. So didn't expect that.
Man, that conversation took a wild turn. Wow.
But
Just out of a simple soap question.
But I did have him believe in liquid soap doesn't actually clean your hands. So another victim.
I mean, you're spreading lies around. So, purple or gold unis?
We got new unis this year.
Ooh.
No, I'm gonna stick with the
The
gold.
whites with the piping though. But he's always pitched when he's shoving, he's always wearing gold.
Yeah, gold.
Gold. Would you rather be lost in a jungle or trapped in a haunted house?
Jungle.
We finally got a haunted house earlier too, Daniel.
I mean,
he said he doesn't even do mosquito bites, so he took the haunted house.
I mean, the jungle is a scary mother.
I realize Mike the Tiger isn't caged in the jungle there, Nate.
Yeah.
And he likes to play at night, so I'm good. I'm all good. All right, who hits better bombs? All right. Belly bombs or cruise missiles? What you got?
Cruz.
Ooh. All right. Cruise missiles or Tommy tanks?
Tommy Tanks.
Only because he's still there. Gotta
Hot
give love
take.
to your guy.
Hot take. Give me Joe Bombs over all of them.
Jeez, that's your boy.
Yeah,
Give me
posters behind
Travinsky.
me.
Give me Travinsky.
Give him Trubisky. There you go.
Oh,
He's taking care of his captain right there. I see you.
Yeah.
Nate said, let him swing a stick.
You know,
Yeah.
that's something I
Yeah.
didn't add.
Watch
That's
Just
them
something,
all
one AB.
fly.
you know what?
Just one AB.
Shame on me, Daniel. You know what? Let me ask that question to ruin your this or that game for a second. You know, how dare I not talk about the fact that you have 3 stud catchers to pitch you? Just how awesome is it to, man, have, a guy like Neil that's young and talented, but then 2 veterans like Milazzo and Travinsky behind the plate?
It's awesome. Experience back there. And especially this year with all the bullpens we throw and how much we've inter-squatted the connection you build. And they kind of have good feel about like, do I like being set up? Like if he calls an outside pitch, do I want him set up on the black or do I want him set out actually off the plate? So they all kind of, have good feel for that. And, you feel confident throwing that 0-2 pitch in the dirt, it's going to get blocked.
Daniel, could you ever say in your time pitching in high school or college, you had 3 amazing catchers? I mean, 3.
No, it's catchers are hard to find, man. Good ones are. And for you guys to have 3, and that's not you blowing smoke. Like we've seen all 3 of them. We've talked to all 3 of them. So it's like we know what you're saying, and I don't think people really underestimate how vital having a catcher know the staff is. And when you can rotate any one of those 3 in, and those pitchers are comfortable throwing balls in the dirt or throwing balls off the plate or blacking balls, like knowing the pitcher is crucial. So like having those guys is key, man. So I feel you. I definitely feel you. Would you rather have a private jet or a private yacht?
I'm gonna take the private jet because if I have a private jet, I probably have enough money to buy a boat, and I don't really need a yacht. I just need a good fishing boat.
There you go. Practical, very practical. All right, last question. Would you rather win 10 or would you rather me give you $10 million or would you rather win another national championship? So
Another
let
national ship.
me
You already
just
got
think
one,
about it.
though. $10 million.
You got-
Hey, exactly. It's rare to win too.
Oof.
What are you going to do it to?
You'd probably just sit in the safe again. But at least I know I got both.
I can tell you what you're not going to do it to. Sell one for 10 million.
Well, if I got 2, it's 2 more than what a lot of people got.
Daniel,
very
I
true.
have been adamant that I definitely, especially when you talk about memories and everything, I definitely would take the first natty over 10 million. But if there's a second one involved, I got to get the money on this one, man. I definitely got to roll it up.
Yeah, I don't know. Like that. Yeah, I think there's not a scenario. Every time guys answer this question, I always try to think to myself, what is the scenario that would be like, yes, I'll take this national championship. And like, even if I was like injured and then came back or had some type of adversity, like I still feel like I would take $10 million.
Here's the thing. I think knowing like how do I say it? Like knowing that the season's over and you didn't lose, to lose the season, I think it's just like I don't know how to describe it. It's like a weird feeling, but all the other teams end on a loss. And you got to sit there all off season and think about how you lost. And then
Well,
like
you're one of only the few people we've asked the second one. We had Skeens come on here and somebody who just got $10 million and said he would give the money and the draft pick back for and keep his national championship. But rarely do we ask 2, and that's what's made the equation differently. Like, I don't know. But hey, yeah, like you said, rarely can you say that you've won 2 back to back. In college baseball, it's just not done. Daniel, who did it? South Carolina was the last one to do it, right?
I think so. What was that? 2013?
9.
Was it
And
30?
I
Was
don't
it?
know. I'm blanking. But yeah, it's been a while, and then before them it had been a while. So yeah, just not something that's done. I mean, they talked about it last night in the Super Bowl. I mean, it doesn't matter what sport you're talking about. It's rare for back to backs. It's so hard to win, but college baseball, the field is so wide open. So many things got to go right. Yeah, so if you win two, I mean, and especially because we talk about your choice to go to LSU, like, man, talk about getting it right.
For real. All right, Nate, man, it's been a pleasure. Anything you want to plug or promote before you get out of here?
No, not really. I appreciate y'all having me on here.
I got him on one, Daniel. We talking about
Get
the
it.
poster. His poster actually says Nasty Nate. It doesn't get better. When you talk like I talked about my favorite posters, him and Trey Morgan's saying Captain Morgan are my two favorite easily. Like Nasty Nate and Captain Morgan. Nice slogans. Go get your Nate poster from the Athletic Collection. It's worth it.
Appreciate it.
Or if you want to see what Nate's up to on Monday or Tuesday night, going over to IG at Nate Ackenhausen. If you want to know what the LSU baseball squad's up to, go to IG at LSU baseball. You'll get up-to-date scores. You'll get pitching rotations. You'll know when Nate's toeing the rubber. You'll get hype videos, highlights, the whole nine. So check them out. You won't be disappointed, I promise you, because I think, Jim, you've said it before, is LSU, when it comes to social media accounts and highlights and hype videos, like
Yeah,
the
they're
best.
they're they're top tier.
It's the best. Don't get
Hands
beat.
down. No, nobody's taking that title. Nate, dude, we wish you nothing but the best. Happy, healthy, successful season. Hopefully, you guys can make another magical run. At the very least, we'll have you back on and we'll talk about it. And we wish you the best. If there's anything we can do for you, let me know.
Appreciate it. Thank y'all.
Absolutely. That's Nate Ackenhausen, everybody. If you like hearing Nate's story or you just like hearing us average Joes talk X's and O's, please like and share the podcast on Facebook, retweet us on Twitter, listen and subscribe on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and Anchor. As always, comments, ratings, feedback, thumbs up, hearts, hugs, loves. We'll take it all. We got a stacked week. We've got tomorrow, Curtis Byrne, TCU baseball. We've got Campbell baseball on Wednesday with Lawson Harrell. We've got Mississippi State track with Mallory Stretman. It's stacked, dude. Jim, not only that, we have college baseball season Friday.
I'm
Are
ready.
you ready?
I'm ready.
You're so ready. All right. Last thing before we get out of here, our Survivor baseball game starts this week. We've got the 4 tribes. For the first 4 weeks of non-conference play, you're going to see the lowest or the weakest player from each tribe eliminated. The next 3 weeks, you'll see 2 players that are the weakest get eliminated, leading us into the back half of conference play where one person, the weakest person, will get eliminated each week, with the conclusion of the 3 players remaining going into the conference tournament. Those 3 players, based on their conference tournament, based on their season as a whole, they will have votes for them to win by the players that were voted out. So it'll be a good season. Look for it on social media. We'll be out there. We'll be hyping it, but we'll also be giving you the results along the way. This has been the Off the Bench podcast. As always, remember, strong body, sharp minds, grit and grind all the time. We're out.